If you're like me or a lot of creative people, you probably have trouble finding time to do your creative work, whether it's for your work or just a hobby or just something you love and have a passion for. Sometimes it's just really difficult. Life is busy, we all know that. But about a year or two ago, I decided that it was important enough to me to make the time and to figure out how to do that. So in this video, I'm going to share 9 different things that I did to make time to paint, because painting was what I really wanted to do. And number 1 is I chose one thing. Now, I know for creative people, there's a million things you have the ability for. There's so many things that you can do and so many things that you're enticed to do that it's hard to just narrow it down and go, okay, I'm not going to do these 8 different craft art things. I'm going to only choose one. And that's what I did. I've been a watercolor artist for years and years. We're talking decades. And I just decided I wanted to learn to paint in acrylics. I'd done it before, but I wanted to get good at it. And I decided, okay, everything else is going to have to take a back seat. So I stopped painting in watercolors. I still did my videos because I like making connection through that medium, but I basically turned my sights to acrylic painting. I stopped doing needlework, I stopped sewing, I stopped a whole bunch of things and chose that one thing. So that's number 1. If you can, choose one thing, or if it's 2, make one the main one. Number 2, I didn't volunteer or join anything. I've done a lot of that kind of thing in the past. I've joined groups, I've been in book groups, and I've volunteered for things, and in order to make more time, I just didn't join anything. And I remember once hearing this phrase, if you want more time, do less. And I've never forgotten that because it actually works. Number 3 was I stayed home more, and I'm still doing that. I'm staying home more, which is where my art studio is and where the art happens. I decided that I had to make a choice. I had to really think about what was essential and whether I needed to go to things, and there's always lots of fun things to go to and to take part in. I made those happen on the weekend. And so I just ended up staying home more, and because I was at home more, there was more opportunity for me to actually paint. Number 4 is I loaded up on supplies. I like to have everything available because I find it really frustrating when I need a kind of paint or a brush or a canvas or whatever to just not have it and have to go get it. It's kind of like being ready. For example, I know not everybody does this, but it certainly works for me, and that is when I get up in the morning, I have my shower or whatever, and I get dressed and I put on my makeup and I do my hair and I put on my jewelry and I'm ready to walk out the door. That way I don't have to get ready if something comes up or if I need to go somewhere. I don't have to take that extra time. So I use that same principle for my artwork, and I bought the paints I needed and I bought all the supplies I needed, and it was a bit gradual because I had to figure out what I actually needed, and I admit I bought more things than I needed. But now I don't have to stop working and stop painting in order to rush out and buy something because I don't have it. So that's number 4. Just have all your supplies that you need. Number 5 is I kept things simple. Cooking, clothes, laundry, anything I could simplify, I simplified. I don't garden very much. I don't go hiking, I don't go to the gym, I don't do a lot of things. I just decided to simplify my life, make it as simple as I could, and just let some things go. So if the living room is messy, well, tonight it's messy. I didn't lower my standards. Well, I did kind of. I just went, how important is that? I did everything that came along or that I was used to doing. I actually put it through a test and said, would I rather paint or do this? Would I rather have a spotless bathroom and have it cleaned every day, or would I rather paint? So, I leave things longer and, wear the same clothes an extra day and that sort of thing. I just made all those things simpler. And as far as cooking, it's like sometimes we have really simple meals. It's like 2 vegetables and a protein, or a starch or protein, and just whatever is handy, whatever is quick to cook. And thankfully, my husband isn't fussy. He's always thankful just to have a meal put on the table. And he's the guy that cleans, so that also helped to make my life simpler. Number 6, I unsubscribed from anything not helping. So by that I mean email. I started to realize how much time I spent going through emails that I was just on the list for. For example, I went on a cruise with my daughter last May. And of course, then you get on the cruise ship's email list, and every day, 3 times a day or whatever, they're telling you about their latest sale, and you got to buy now because it's going to go away tomorrow, and that sort of thing. Well, I don't have any plans to buy a cruise anytime soon, and when I do, I can just go back on their website and start over. So those kind of things, just taking the time to click on things and see if you're missing anything, and it just takes way more time than you imagine. And even classes that I took, I've taken some different classes online for acrylic painting because I wanted to learn as quickly as possible how to handle the paint and do the brush strokes and all that kind of thing. But once I'm done with that, I don't need it anymore. I'm not going back there to do it again. If I do, most things you have the ability for life kind of thing. But I just unsubscribed from things that weren't really helping. And sometimes you get on a list to have a look at it and see if it's going to be part of what you need, and it turns out not to. And rather than stay on the list and have to deal with an extra 20 or 30 or 50 or whatever emails every day, I just unsubscribe. It's like, I already made a decision not to do this. I ask myself, has a decision already been made about this? Do I really need to be on this list? I'm on some different travel things because I love to travel. But a lot of times I just go through and delete. And if it happens more than a few times, then I start unsubscribing. Number 7 is pretty important. I stopped pushing myself to a deadline. I tend to be goal-oriented, and I have plans, but I found that I was putting myself under pressure to get things done and to make it happen and to figure out the style I wanted to paint in and all those different things. I just went, okay, it takes as long as it takes. And I'm fortunate that I have a bit of income from a different source. So I wasn't desperate to make money. And I mean, the goal with my art is to sell my paintings. But I stopped saying it has to be done by a certain date. It has to be done. I have to make this happen. I just let myself off the hook and said, it'll happen when it happens. And I'm continually working at it. And towards that end, number 8 is I made the decision to paint every day. And one of the big things that helped with that is to be able to have things set up. So you can see behind me, I have my easel. I have a painting that this is actually finished. I just put it up there as sort of a pretty backdrop. But I rearranged a room in the house that was available and made it work. And I bought my easel. When I first started though, I have a little easel, sort of a beginner kind of easel, that I just set it up in a corner of the living room and put a drop cloth on the carpet. And I'm a pretty neat painter anyway, so I tend not to splash paint around at all. But I made a space for it. And I told myself, even if it's one brush stroke, I've painted every day. And the reason I did that was because it kept me connected to it. It kept me involved. And it kept my skills, it kept everything top of mind, but it also helped me continually improve my skills and learn new things without having big breaks of time where I'd kind of lose the plot. I didn't want that. So that's made a huge difference. And just having this situation here with this room and my easel, it makes it so much easier to paint every day because everything is right there and ready. And number 9 is the most important one of all. I asked God for direction and I followed it. Not quite a year ago, I was kind of fretting about what's the point of making all this work? What am I going to do with it? How am I going to sell it? How can I sell online? Should I be more on Instagram? Should I blah, blah, blah? What direction do I want to go? Do I want to approach galleries? And I've had work in galleries before, so I wasn't really put off by trying that. Do I want to have my own show? What do I want to do? So I just sat down and was praying about it one morning, and I said, Lord, what is it that you want me to do? What should I do to sell my work? He said, don't even think about it. What you need to do right now is paint. You're not ready to sell your work. And on reflection, I realized that was so true. I wasn't. I hadn't really figured out the style I wanted to paint in. I hadn't really figured out what kind of brush strokes that I wanted to use. There were just lots of things that I hadn't really figured out. And the only way to do that is to keep working and keep learning. And so I'm in some painting groups that have been really helpful because I've watched a lot of videos and I've taken several classes. And gradually, I've begun to sense what my style is and what my subject matter is. I have to be excited about it, for one thing. So I wanted to try something like this and see if I like just doing straight paint to canvas with no drawing and no real plan, or just, kind of a vague plan. And I realized that that's not really my favorite way to do it. I like to actually have a little more structure. So it's just things like that made a huge difference. And at the moment, I haven't really had much of a go-ahead. I mean, I have to admit, this is why my website is still kind of not put together. It's because I just wasn't sure on my direction. But gradually that's happening, and it's very exciting. All of these things together have given me way more time to paint, and it's made a huge difference in my life, and it's gotten me more and more settled into who I am as an artist and what direction my work is going in, and also who the market for my work is, because that's a big piece of it. It's very exciting and it's very doable. I hope that my experience is valuable to you. I hope that you can take some of these, any of them, and if it's possible in your life, just change one thing, and that might make a really big difference. I hope you've enjoyed this. I'm so glad you're with me, and I'll see you next time.